What's up, YouTube? Knight's Edge here again. Got a kind of like a rambling video for you today. Imagine that, me doing a rambling video. So, don't know how long this is going to be. It might be a little shorter than I anticipated. It might be longer. I don't know. So, kick back, get a drink, get something, hang out, listen to me talk about whatever pops into my head. Trying to keep it a little organized. So today, trying to do like a overview, synopsis, my opinion, whatever, of kind of like knife collecting overall, the whole journey, right? So I recently said whenever Knives was on my live stream that collecting knives is kind of like the 12-step program, but in reverse. So that's basically what it is. It's a hobby. It can become a habit. It can be good, bad, you know, take all your money, or you can get some really nice things and meet some pretty cool people and everywhere in between. So let me explain. So generally, starting out, a lot of people, not everyone, and this is just me from my own experience explaining the way that I started out, was this is actually, I think this is my grandpa's knife. This is just a little slip joint. It's a little buck slip joint, a little three-piecer, and absolutely nothing at all wrong with these knives. These are, you can see it's kind of rusted, definitely well sharpened, well used. You know, you can tell that that this thing has definitely done some work, and it has been there whenever he needed it, and it's mine now, and definitely does its job. I mean, it'll cut stuff open. It's a little slip joint, old USA made slip joint buck knife. So that's a lot of people's kind of first experience with knives. Shoot, a lot of people don't even, like, that one was given to me, and one of mine, I don't think I had my original like first slip joint knife, but I definitely started out kind of in that realm. And if you stay in the slip joint world, you can get way super, just as high end and premium with slip joints as you can with locking knives, and more like modern folders, tactical, whatever you want to call them, type of folders. Now, I kind of reset in my life at one point, and this one was the only one that I owned a few years back, and this was actually given to me by my dad. This is a little, I don't even know, Maxim. Chinese made, headquartered in the US. Terrible blade play, horrible centering, bad action, back lock, tip down, carry only. Standard kind of like dollar store knife. But this one did the trick too, right? This one's, I've cut mini rope, I've cut a lot of stuff with this one. And it's did the job. Maybe not as well as some other knives, maybe not as ergonomic, maybe not as, definitely not as flashy. But that one works, right? So it does the job. That's like a little $5 kind of Walmart knife, gas station knife, maybe dollar store knife. And as you kind of progress, a lot of people will end there, right? A lot of people in there, and that's the knife that they've got. You know, maybe they run across one or two others of those knives that they carry, maybe they don't, and that's pretty much it. And then sometimes, depending on, you know, what your experience is and who you are, this is going to be a pretty biased video, I'll go ahead and say that, right? Because it's all coming from my perspective. I'll just go ahead and say that, so prevent any comments on the bottom, you know, some people don't, you know, or whatever. But this is just my experience, so just sharing with y'all. A lot of y'all might have had different experiences or similar, I don't know. Let me know in the comments anyway what your experience is. And so a lot of people will go from something like that, or maybe like this is the new Walmart Grail, Ozark Grail knife. This is a $10 Walmart knife that has been modeled very, very closely, in my opinion, to the bug out, right? Crossbar, modern folder, crossbar lock, ambidextrous locking mechanism, pocket clip, D2 steel for $10. This is a solid knife, I think, in my opinion. This is a Chinese knife, and that is the Walmart Grail right there. So a lot of people will kind of stop there, or if you're limited to Academy or Walmart, you know, a lot of your experience with knives might end with Kershaw or CRKT, or SOG even. Some of those, like this is the Kershaw Boilermaker. This is an assisted knife. A lot of people really dig assisted knives starting out. Some people collect nothing but assisted knives. I don't really like assisted knives anymore. I just love them. I just think, man, it's so cool. You know, it's going to fire open no matter what. Don't have to worry about, you know, it getting caught up, and a lot of the kind of sales tactics they use are like quick fire or surefire technology or whatever. For the most part, it's just a little spring in there. It's just a little bar in there, really, that causes it to rocket open whenever you flip it. And that's pretty much it. That's a sales tactic, I think. But assisted knives are a big thing. There are some pretty expensive assisted knives that ZTO 0357, I think it is. I used to own one. That's an assisted knife. It's like $180 USA made knife, premium materials, all that. This is a Chinese made Kershaw. This is the Kershaw Boilermaker. And I think this one goes for around 30 or 40 bucks maybe. So a lot of people's kind of, you know, if you kind of like pocket knives a little bit and have kind of gone past the initial, you know, these are the couple of knives I'm going to carry my whole life, you know, those will work for whatever you need them for. A lot of times that's, you know, slight opening up boxes, you know, cutting rope, scraping things, whatever, non-knife stuff. A lot of times those will even handle some of that, and that's pretty much all people want for their entire, that's it, you know, because they're not into collecting knives. Maybe they're into collecting other things, you know, cards. There's all kinds of stuff you can collect, baseball cards, you know, you name it. So in my kind of knife foray into the knife world, my knife journey, as you might want to call it, that was the next in line for me. It was like your Kershaws, your CRKTs, stuff like that. So after that, my first, what I considered at the time like the end all be all, you know, this was like the biggest knife purchase I ever made, and it was a big step to buy this one, and it is not the way that it appears now. This one's been heavily modified since then, but my first premium folder, premium production USA made folder, I guess you could say. This is a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This was, I think, 165 bucks or something like that. Whenever I got it, it came with G10 scales. This particular one is in S45VN. See that right there, S45VN. And when I got the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, because that was kind of when I started getting into watching the knife community, right? Nick Shabazz, Metal Complex, Knives, Stasa, a lot of, I started out watching pretty much those and a couple of other channels. And Paramilitary 2 seemed like a standard, you know. And I was like, man, I was really getting tired of sharpening my, you know, $5, $10 whatever knife. And I think at the time maybe I had this one too. And I was like, man, these things don't hold an edge. And these guys are talking about all these super cool, you know, features of these, like the forward choil, the awesome steel, the geometry, the sliciness and everything. Let me check this one out. You know, and I got it, and once I got it in hand, that was pretty much it. I was like, oh man, this is so nice. You know, I mean, it's ugly to a lot of people, right? A lot of people think Spydercos are dead ass ugly, and I can't blame them. I mean, they are kind of ugly, right? Kind of like a bird looking, plague doctor looking thing or whatever. But I loved it, and I still love it. I think the PM2 is a good knife. It's a solid knife. But this was kind of my first foray into the higher end knives, right? And then I started looking around, you know, watching more and more content, and you know, lusting after knives and wanting more and more, you know, to experience this or that or whatever. And started looking at some of the budget stuff, and it's like, okay, well, I can spend, you know, 150 bucks on that, 165 bucks, I think at the time. They're higher than that now, but I can spend less than that, 30 bucks. I can get me a Penguin, man. These things are, people are talking about how ergonomic they are and awesome they are for budget knives. And for 30 bucks, I mean, that was right up my alley, you know, something that's kind of like a cut above, you know, your, no pun intended, your Walmart knives, your, you know, CRKTs and stuff like that. At the time, the QSP Penguin was unbelievably awesome, and it still is a great knife. For 30 bucks, D2 steel, you know, solid knife. So I got that one. This one's actually stonewashed. I stonewashed it myself, modified it. So I kind of got dealt with, you know, some of the budget stuff. You know, you got your Vosteed Acorn. This is an awesome knife. I think it was my budget knife of the year last year, actually. Solid knife, 14C28N on that blade steel, my card on the handle. This knife will do anything that $1,000 knife will. The materials aren't as premium. The action's not as premium. You know, but this one will, you could buy this one. This one's, I think these go for around 50 bucks maybe, something like that, and that could be it, you know. So you could stick in that territory, maybe have one you consider, you know, super high-end premium, like a Paramilitary 2, or you know, even a Benchmade. I got one sitting somewhere around here, I thought. Maybe not. A Benchmade Griptilium, something kind of in that territory, you know. But this is just me describing you know, the way that I kind of progress, I guess. This one came out not too long after that, and kind of was like, man, that one's $70, but I mean, it is really cool. I like the opening mechanism. You know, the ergonomics look solid and everything. Let me get that one, you know. So you've got your kind of higher end budget knives, kind of like that Civivi Vision FG, and then you get into kind of your more mid-grade production premium Chinese made knives. This is a Kizer Phoenix. This is actually more of a recent buy, but this one was designed by none other than Satisfaction. Got the Phoenix logo on it. Really solid, really cool knife. And I think these go for in the mid 100s, maybe something like that. S35VN on the blade steel. Great little knife. Well, not little. I mean, good size knife, right? But so a lot of people kind of stick in that territory. You know, your hundreds to 200s, whatever. And that's perfectly fine too. I mean, a knife that costs 100 to 200 bucks will do the same as $1,000 knife. Will do the same as a $30 knife. You know, it's just all a matter of production price, custom price, whatever. You know, the higher you go with it, the more it costs for better materials, better craftsmanship, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's another one. It's a Vosteed Psyop, solid one, man. This one, I think these go for around 150, 200 bucks, maybe more than that, maybe 250. It's a top liner lock, super awesome knife. This is L-Max on the blade steel and titanium on the handle. Really great knife there, man. And high-end Chinese made and mid-range USA made production knives, that might be where some people's journey ended. You know, mine kind of stuck around in that territory for quite a while. You know, I definitely stuck in that territory for a good bit of time, and I was happy there. You know, I would look at some things and be like, man, why would somebody pay $500 for a knife? You know, why would somebody pay $300 for a knife? And well, then I got a ZT 0562. This one is a really solid, really good action, really great knife. I think these now go for around 300. I think it was like 250 maybe at the time that I got it. USA made. This is Kershaw's parent company. Kai USA owns both Kershaw and ZT. But these are what I would consider premium USA made production knives. You know, titanium, 20 CV, great action, great ergos, solid knife, really. And I was happy, really so happy when I got this one, and kind of stuck around that territory. I definitely collected some Spydercos. I kind of moved over into sideways, I guess, and, you know, went from going, I think I got this one next, pair of 3, you know, smaller version of a PM2. And then I went deep into the Spyderco territory. You know, I got another pair of 3. This one's Maximate, kind of a specialty steel. You know, you can do that. You can kind of stick in that, you know, 150-ish, 110. I think this one goes for 120, 130 sometimes. That's BD1N. That's a pair of 3 lightweight. But my point is, you can kind of stick around there. And then sprint runs. These are hard to get, or they were, and I think they still are whenever they drop. This is a 15V Spyderco Shaman, and you can, you know, you can get that one. I think was around 250, something like that. You can mod these. Obviously, a lot of my Spydercos are modded, and you can go like hog wild modding Spydercos. That's a Lynch Northwest deep carry clip. These are oil slick titanium met embossed scales on here. You can get crazy with that and still stay within the $100, $200, $300 territory with the mods. The mods themselves get expensive. I mean, the scales for this cost about as much as this knife does itself alone. So you can stick in that territory. I kind of stayed around there for a while myself. And I still love stuff in that territory. This one is a Stitch. This was one of the first knives I think I ever got. I was like, oh man, that's a big buy. That's like 300 bucks. That's crazy. 300 bucks for a freaking pocket knife. That's nuts. All right. I mean, when you look at it from the outside, it is. I mean, some people are like, that's insane, you know. But a lot of times your trade values and stuff for one like this is a lot better than your trade value for, you know, one like this. Just depends on how you look at it and what you like, right? So was maxed out in that territory, and I got to thinking, man, I absolutely love this zero tolerance 0562. This is the one example I'm going to use, but there's a couple different ones I had at the time that were kind of floating around that territory. I absolutely love it, but it's based on a smaller batch production USA made knives I have never even handled or experienced. I wonder what it would be like to have the actual XM18. Is it that much better, than the 0562? A lot of people say it's not. I mean, I think the XM18 is a little bit better myself, but it is a harder to get, and especially at the time was a harder to get knife. Now the XM18 has since caught up with production in the last couple of years. They have become very much more and more available, much more available than they were like in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So you can actually go on DLT Trading or BladeHQ sometimes and just pick up a Hinder. They were out of stock a lot of times in a lot of places, and that was my next one. That was a Hinder XM18. Not this particular one. I actually had to sell the Bowie, was the one that I had, and had to pay some bills at the time, so I ended up selling that one. But I really, really loved this one, and finally the opportunity came back where I could get it again. Sold some other stuff, traded some stuff, and was finally able to get this one back in. This is kind of like an entry level, I think, USA small batch production knife, and that's kind of in the territory I'm in now. Really, I really appreciate customs and higher end stuff. Definitely, I can definitely appreciate them, and I can tell why a lot of times they cost so much now. But a lot of the stuff that I actually own is, kind of in that territory. Now, another, high-end, this is what I would consider a high-end premium USA made production knife. This one's a lot harder to get. This is the Strider SNG. I was super happy to be able to get this one. Mr. Eddie hooked me up with a pretty solid deal on that knife. Another example of high-end USA made production knives, but smaller batch, definitely. You can't pick this one up just off of, it's not just sitting on a website in stock. They have drops and they're gone. Much like this one. This is the Umnenzon. This is the Chris Reeve Knives Umnenzon. This one is very, very sought after. A lot of people absolutely love this knife, and I do too. It's a solid knife. It's one of my favorite ones in my collection. Beautiful knife. These are production knives. This isn't a custom or even a mid-tech. This is a production knife, but they're a lot smaller batch and a lot harder to get than a lot of other ones. Definitely these two, the keep everything kind of in camera view here. These two, the Umnenzon and the Strider, are definitely harder to get nowadays anyway than the Hinder. They do have drops of these periodically, but not so much, right? So you can also kind of go in a parallel to that and do high-end Chinese production knives, right? This is the Sparrow Knives Strix. This one's OEM'd by Best Tech. It's a company out of China, but the designer is Greg Schaub. He's next door to me in Mississippi. The Sparrow Knives Strix, there's a custom version of this that costs vastly more. He did a couple of drops of these. He's supposed to do a third, actually, but this is what I would consider a high-end Chinese-made production knife, right? Don't own or haven't experienced that they exist, any high-end Chinese-made custom knives, but that's a region or territory I'm unfamiliar with. But you can spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, some Chinese-made production knives cost in the upper hundreds, $400 or $500, more than that, some of them, and then you get into your even higher end stuff. This is a Grimsmo Knives Norseman. This isn't a custom, and I don't even know if I'd consider a mid-tech, right? Every model is numbered differently and archived on their website. They do some really, really amazing, nice finishing work. This is definitely the most expensive knife in my collection, bar none at this point. But this one, these go for right under $1,000. I mean, that's crazy to me, going from this and this to years later here, but the knife world goes way deep, is my point, I guess, to all this. I mean, you can start here and you can be here in a few years. You can start here and be here in a few days if you want, right? It just depends on what you're into. Or you can end right here and be totally happy the rest of your life, probably a little bit richer, without getting into knives. Or you can be totally happy with getting into knives a little bit and staying into that, you know, kind of in that under $100 range, you know, premium. You can get a premium high-end USA made production knives. You can stay in that range. It's all a matter of perspective, and it's all a matter of, really, of your budget as well, you know, what you can afford, what you can't, and what you want to save up for. Like, to me, I mean, I'm at the point in my kind of knife collecting, I guess, you know, and taste change and stuff like that, so keep that in mind. But I would rather, I have kind of tried to pace myself, and I've kind of tried to get to the point to where I, like, instead of going out and buying, I don't know, like this is a $250 knife. So instead of going out, you know, with this one being all over YouTube and everybody being like, oh, this is an awesome knife, man, frame lock, solid ergos, multiple means of deployment, great deal, awesome knife, the Vosteed Psyop, get one, you know. Instead of just going and buying that, which I wanted to, you know, and I'm just using that as an example, instead of going out and just instantly, you know, getting that in your cart, buying it and owning it or whatever, it takes a little more discipline to kind of save up, you know, especially if, you know, maybe you don't have the means to buy stuff like that. I know I generally don't. I've done a lot of wheeling and dealing and selling and trading and stuff like that. But if I've got the money, I would rather save it instead of something like this, the point that I'm at anyway, and, you know, wait double the amount of time, an extra month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the case is, 6 months, and get something like this, you know, because the trade value goes way down when you buy lower than when you're higher, right? If that makes any sense. And I do appreciate all the little subtleties and a lot of the kind of cool little intricacies and stuff that go into the higher end knives now. What I would consider the higher end. A lot of people would consider a Norseman, you know, like, okay, yeah, it's a Norseman. Yeah, it's all right, you know. I mean, there's pocket knives out there that cost $25,000 and more. There's pocket knives out there that people are, you know, some people don't have any knives in their collection that are under $1,000. It's all a matter of budget, perspective, and I guess ever-evolving taste. So to me, that's where I'm at right now. Hope this was a good rambling experience for you guys. And who knows where I'll be at in a year, you know, in 2 months, 6 months, whatever. I don't know. But it's been a fun ride so far. And I think it's pretty cool. That's about it, guys. 25 minutes in. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to me ramble about this. Just thought that would be a neat little kind of look into my, you know, mindset and my journey into, you know, kind of collecting knives and where I'm at and where, you know, I've come from and all that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if you like the content. Subscribe if you want more of it. And I'll see you guys on the next one.